the clown? I leave the meeting. It's being recorded. Hey.
Hello. Good day. Familiar faces and beautiful people. How are you doing? It's great to see you all. Well, it's great to see all 15 of us already.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and it's already, I can see there's 3 or 4 different groups in this small group that we have so far, 3 or 4 different groups combining to create one new group of the Global Education Network, which pleases me greatly. And thank you for taking the time out of your Wednesday to join this group. So hopefully over the next hour or so, 45 minutes, hour-ish, we're going to have more of our friends joining us from around the world. It really is good to see you all. And I know that we've been in touch. Some of us have been in touch on the platform or WhatsApp or Facebook or various other ways, but it's really nice to have us on one platform. And I've been speaking to the other facilitators and they can always speak for themselves greatly, but we've missed this. I've missed this and we've missed this connection. For some of you, it's been a much longer break in this connection than others, but yeah, let's hope we can reconnect and rekindle and keep these connections and momentum going. And I'll just say that today mainly is about this reconnecting, giving some guidance as to what are the next steps, but also just checking in with people and see how our practices have been going over the past weeks, months, could be even more than months for some people. It would be a real help and a bonus if you're able to put in the chat just now while we're waiting for everybody else to jump in. And Murshid, you definitely win a prize for the very first participant back into the reconnecting group. You were the first one in there, followed by Vicky, I believe, right after Vicky. And who was number 3? I think it was Aisha. Sharu, so Sharu, you were number 3, and then followed by all the rest of the group on time. But it would be great help if you could actually just put in the chat where you are in the world right now, because I know we've got groups that haven't necessarily met each other. Some people are inside, some people are outside, like Chanel, like Shane, in the breezy UK weather. Blue sky though, which is great to see. So where you are in the world, and maybe when you came through your CIT, the 10 skills. So roughly speaking, was it a few weeks ago? Was it a few months ago? And where is it in the world that you're coming in from today, this afternoon, this morning, this evening? And we do have Australia, Asia, Africa, Europe, North America, which is a big bonus for all of us to have those perspectives and just have that connection. So yeah, we do have Australia. Great stuff. Suzanne is here. I can see you, Suzanne. And hopefully we'll be joined by another member of the country where you're based right now. The nation of Australia. I think we may have 1 or 2 from Australia. We've got Edinburgh, Sweden. Fantastic.
Rossi is here already from Australia.
So we have Rossi and Suzanne. So it's fantastic. We're joining people already in the same country. So while we're waiting for everybody to sign in, we've got about 18 people now. Maybe and I've used this expression a few times this week and I need to change it. So if you have any alternatives for me, please give me an alternative expression. But to throw people under the bus is not a very nice expression in any way. But I'm going to try, because they've been making fun of me, Anya and Renee. They've been ganging up on me in the waiting room. So I'm going to put it back to them and maybe they can explain. Apart from designing logos for CIT and drinking lots of coffee and doing many other creative things, and Anya, apart from preparing for your adventure in the mountains and hiking around Germany over the coming days, what have you guys been up to? If we can connect in with our facilitators first, and then we'll have an open call for participants as well. Renee.
Oh, I was going to say, go ahead, Anya. You first.
I'm on mute.
No, you're definitely not on mute. We can hear you.
So yeah, I actually, why didn't you prepare me for that? But anyway, I was sort of quite absorbed in the last weeks, preparing all sorts of things and having a lot of conversations with organizations and institutes here in Germany regarding cooperation with CIT. And I'm about to finish with a German CIT course, having 3 skills going on this week. And I'm still facilitating on my own. So this is always a little bit time consuming for me, let alone that I sometimes feel like spending some time with my family. But yeah, perhaps I would have said something smarter if you told me before, but spontaneously I'm bubbling here and handing over to Renee.
Thank you, Anya. I am part of a group that's been, we're in week 2 of facilitating a group of educators all located in San Antonio, Texas. So that's one of the things I've been up to with Shane and a team of facilitators. And it's been really fun because our team is really, really global, and I'm completely enjoying that. So it's kind of a flip to the course that we just finished with many of you. And so that's been the highlight. I've also been sitting in on the meetings about the ways we're trying to grow the program. And so I've been really enjoying grappling with those questions of how we can grow effectively and sustainably.
Super. Thanks, Renee. And yeah, just to reiterate what Renee's mentioned there in terms of our global education network, we're hoping to have another welcome pretty soon. There's 150, roughly speaking, 150 educators that are going through the 5-week accelerated program that many of you went through just a few weeks ago. And so we're hoping in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, we'll have another 150 based in North America, but from all over the world. The group is quite diverse, but they're teaching in San Antonio, which is a compassionate city in Texas. So we're quite excited about that and to see how this group will grow and grow organically. So thanks, Renee and Anya. And I've been learning how to deal with, well, expecting a child is the biggest thing over the next few weeks, and it could be any day the way things are going. We've probably got about 5 weeks to go at this point, but I think the baby's almost ready to enter this world, hopefully in the most compassionate way and in the most compassionate place we can create. And also, yeah, we bought our first home, I think, as well. So in the last couple of weeks, apart from facilitating and preparing ourselves for all the private and vocational or professional tasks, we've been trying to breathe as much as we can, trying to use some of the skills that we've been learning about ourselves and also facilitating with other people. The chat right now is really exciting. It's first of all seeing where everybody is. So there's a brilliant diversity within the groups, but also where people are in their own CIT journey. We can see that some people are already co-facilitating with each other in this group, and they're on their facilitator training. So definitely at some point over the next 50 minutes, we'll be mentioning how and when and what we need to do to progress to the facilitator course. And I hope it's our intention or our aspiration to be joined by Jennifer Valtos. Some of you know Jennifer well at this point. Some of you may not have connected or got to know Jennifer, but she's the director of training within the CIT program, and she's hoping to come on and explain a little bit about what may lie ahead for the facilitators in training, or for those who want to put themselves forward for that, because it's a very new program, and we're looking for as many of you to jump into a piloted program, which should be starting around the 17th of July. So just that's all I'll say for the moment, but we'll definitely come back to that in later in the hour. And for those of you who don't know how long this is going to take, roughly speaking, we said if people could join us for an hour, that would be fantastic. And if it goes on extra, as always, I can speak for I'm happy to stay on a few minutes to answer any questions that you might have. We've a tentative program for the next hour, but I intend to give us a little bit of stimulus just to get our brains connected to where we are right now. So rather than, you know, last week or last month or even last year, or rather than thinking about what's ahead of us for the rest of the day, week, months ahead. I mean, who knows what might lie ahead in months ahead. So I'm going to try and focus a little activity, and it should only be 5 minutes or less, on maybe focusing on where we are right now, and a huge welcome to people who've just joined us. You'll see a plethora of different names from around the world, some faces you'll recognize and some you won't. I'm also seeing names that are quite similar to me from different groups, which is fantastic. So I can see Aisha, I've been pronouncing completely incorrectly for at least 5 weeks, but also we have Ashia, who I've been also mispronouncing for a long time. So we've got similar names, but in different parts of the world, which is great. Okay, so if you have a pen and paper with you right now in front of you, great. If you don't, if you have your phone, fantastic. If you have access to a keypad that you can type in the chat, whatever one suits you best. It's just a way of jotting down a couple of words. So I'm going to try to give us some sparks for some thoughts and words and connect us to the present moment. And we can do what we want with these. We don't necessarily have to share. Nobody will be asked to share any of this if they don't want, but just to connect us before we do a quick check-in on how things are going for each one of us, if that makes sense. So a pen and paper, phone, and you can be WhatsApping yourself, or you could be putting it in the chat as well. And this activity is surrounded around the activity of, it's connected to the activity some of us have, all of us have done if we were on that class, but the activity about who are you. I remember people who were in small little dyads, and Mary Catherine is nodding her head because she was also in this activity, this very activity last week. And Mary Catherine, welcome to this group as well from Edinburgh and from many other parts of the world, but I'm hoping you'll get to know everybody as well as the weeks progress. But this activity is around who you are right now, not who you are any other time in your life or who you will be, but who you are right now. I'm going to prompt some beginnings of sentences, and you're just going to complete the sentence with a word or maybe even 2 words or whatever you have time for, but roughly 10 seconds per sentence. Don't think, don't edit, don't keep anything in, just write anything you want down. And as I say, this is all completely confidential if you want to keep it to yourself. The first one and the last one will be the same. I'm going to call out I am, and you're going to finish this for you. What are you right now in this moment? I am. And we'll repeat that again. So a second time, I am. What flows in your mind right now to connect with this sentence? I am. I feel. I feel. In this moment, what do you feel? Don't think too much. I have. I have. Bingo. I have. I believe. I believe. I want. I want. I try. I try. I am. Once again, I am. I laugh. I laugh.
What did you say, Sean?
I said,
sorry, I missed it.
I said, I laugh. I laugh when
Okay.
people call me Sean. I cry. I cry. I can. I can. Just a few more, just to keep us.
Sorry, can or can't?
This is my Irish pronunciation. I can. I know Michael O'Connor understood me.
Sorry.
I can. I see. I see. I hope, or I aspire, I hope. And then the last two, complete in your own couple of seconds, but maybe try and write two more. I am, I am. And I am appreciative of all of you participating in that. Some of you are participating for the second week in a row in that particular activity, so I'd be interested. There might have been subtle changes. Sometimes it might have been very physical, like I am boiling right now here in Madrid. That's what I am. It's 36 or 37 degrees. I'm a fan of this fan right beside me that's saving me. But sometimes it was a little deeper when I thought about what I would like to do, what I want to do, what I believe. And so before we hand over to Renee to maybe lead us into to Anya to lead us into a check-in, and we'll hopefully do that in small groups so we'll get a chance to share as much as we possibly can about how our practices have been going. Let's leave an open space for how that activity was for you, any insights whatsoever, any sentences that were jumping out that surprised you possibly, or anything that you feel you would like to share with the group. It's completely up to yourselves, and you can unmute or you can put it in the chat. But how was that last 4 or 5 minutes for you? That experience of trying to get into the moment as much as we can right now.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Are we meant to be speaking or thinking?
Yeah. But sometimes we do it at the same time.
Yeah, sometimes I don't do them all at the right time. I really enjoyed it. I've just put my son to bed, so I was just kind of scrambling to get here. So yeah, that was really nice. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you, Rosie. And you're in Sydney, I believe. So I'm wondering, is it the same time zone that yourself and Suzanne are based in? Yeah, you're both in Sydney. Great. Thank you. Does anyone else like to share?
Well, Shane, it must be an Australian thing that we're the talkers here. We are. Rosie said she was in Sydney as well, so we are both in Sydney. I haven't done that before, Shane. I really enjoyed that. I actually started out being quite negative from how my day's been, but I noticed that it ended up in a more positive light. So I'm appreciative. Thank you.
Brilliant, and thanks for sharing, Suzanne. I can see Sharu's hand has gone up. Sharu, would you like to share?
Yes, hi. Yeah, so it was kind of just flowing in, and I didn't have to use my brain to think about it. So you didn't give us the time to do that, right? So that was really good. I love that part. Don't think, just go with whatever comes. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for doing it and enjoying it. Hopefully. Okay. Mary Catherine.
Well, I really enjoyed it too, and I found themes, kind of the I am, the I am, the I am. I kept coming back, and though some of the words were a little bit different, there was kind of a theme of gratitude that came through all of it, which was good. And even some of the believes and sees and hopes and aspires, there seemed to be a theme in that. And anyway, so it was affirmative, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks, Mary Catherine.
And Petra wanted to say something, I think. No? Wrong? Okay, wrong.
Taking it all in. Okay, so well, hopefully you can, I don't know if it's written down in front of you, or it's on a phone message or something, but hopefully that can stay with you for, if it's your evening and you're about to go to bed, it could be affirmation or gratitude, but hopefully you can explore that a little more at different points today or over the coming days. But at this point, I'm handing over to the lovely Anya.
Thank you, Shane. I was on mute. The question is, I'm going to facilitate the breakouts, but you're going to create them, are you? Or am I supposed to? Okay,
no, I'm doing
perfect. Thank you. So, great to see you all now that I can talk. I just wanted to express that quickly. And yes, as usual, we thought we all might appreciate to share in smaller groups, whatever you feel like sharing, in fact, regarding how it has been going since our course stopped, and how have practices been going since completing the course. Did you gain any insights regarding applying the CRT skills into everyday life or while doing practices? So it will be basically a general sharing on realizations of the material, and if you will, partly an outlook on how you would like to continue the journey. That's how I saw it. I'm not sure if Renee and Shane disagrees here regarding the future outlook thing, but this is what we actually thought we might do when breaking out of this main room.
Perfect. And I think, yeah, we've facilitators in training. We've people that want to be facilitators will facilitate ourselves. And I've just made the breakouts. It's groups of 3, 4, and 5, whichever you might fall into. And you may have a facilitator in the group, but it will just be participants like the rest. And we'll be going through how we're using the material as well. So thank you, Anya, and the groups. We're going to take 10 to 12 minutes here for this. I think it's important to have a nice chat and check in. And I am aware that not all the groups know each other, so maybe a quick introduction as well of who you are and where you are, rather than a big deep introduction, but just maybe who and where is enough for the moment. Thank you, and the breakouts are open.
Am I accepting? No, are you staying out?
If you want, I can't accept because I've launched them, but everybody else can. If you wish to jump into a group for 10 minutes. And we have Annette. Annette, hello, and great to see you. Oh, no.
Okay, Renee disappeared, so.
Oh, she actually disappeared. I think she might be in, I put her, oh yeah, she actually has disappeared. No, she's in a group 3.
Okay, so shall I join or rather not?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice, just because you know everybody, but I know Renee doesn't know everybody, so it might be nice for Renee to have that chat as well. But it's 10 minutes just to really listen and share how you've been managing the practice yourself.
Yeah, and I think Renee knows everyone since she is in smaller group with Susan and Mary Catherine. I think they did facilitator training all together, but anyway.
Yes, it's true. Hey, Prue.
Prue.
Wi-Fi is not connected. Hey, Prue, I'm not sure if you can hear us, but we can see you. We just can't hear you. Yeah, you're muted. Let's see if I can unmute. No, I can't unmute you. But let me put you in a group, Prue.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
I was in with Renee and then I disappeared. So
okay, I'll put you back in Renee if that's okay, because she'll be complaining. You're in group number 3. Okay.
Thank you.
See you in a wee bit.
Oh, are those smaller groups like 2 and 2? No. Yeah.
There's 3, 4, and 5. It would just depend on where people were coming in and out. So they're quite small groups.
Okay. So.
I really wanted the people to make sure at least everybody had one chance to share something. If there were 5, 6, 7, and you've got 10 minutes, if somebody shares for 3 minutes, then it means somebody's out.
So I could go into breakout room 2. Is there?
Yeah. So you have Rashid, Mary Catherine, and Salah.
Salah, your friend.
Sal. Yeah.
Sal. Yeah.
Sal,
okay.
Sal. Some days it's different. Or you can choose a group. You have the privilege of being able to choose a group here because.
No, I quickly joined them, just listening to them.
Group number 5 is Michaela, Chanel, and Vicky. It's only 3 people, but group 2 has 4 people.
Okay, so should I? Do you want me to?
Yeah, would you want to join that group at the the end? Because it means there's more to share. Then you have a chance to share yourself.
I don't need to, but yeah, then you have to redirect me because I can't go for myself.
Yeah. There you go.
See ya.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I mean, I can send you as well.
It's an option, or we could just chat to each other here and for the next 5 or 6 minutes. You know how to close it. I'm completely open. No, I think I'll throw people off if I jump in right now and try to mute myself. It's almost impossible. I think it's probably more kinder and compassionate for you to go into a group than me.
And because I'm so used to shut myself out.
No, you're just you're
I'm just
mindful.
pressing now. I'm not listening to the answer.
Welcome back. Welcome back to all. It's funny because I was the only one not in a group there, and I was really practicing my thinking trap of envy and jealousy, not getting involved in the conversations and listening to the fruits of all the practices that have been going on. So I had a really nice opportunity to look at the chats though and catch up.
You could have joined our group, Shane, because we actually had a question that's perfect for you.
I'm getting worried. I'm getting worried right now about what that question could possibly be. But
no, well, Shane, just tell me if it's not the right place for this. But I was in the group with Michael and with Rosie, and they just did the recent 5-week course with you guys. And because they said that it's the CIT plus the facilitator training, and they were actually wondering how that differed from what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think Mary Catherine, there might be a few other people have that same question.
I didn't know. I said I don't know how to explain it because I don't know what you did.
my hands are up in saying that we all, as a whole group, may not know very succinctly how to explain that, but the Global Education Network is being formed right now, so it is evolving as we're going along. And even today, we wanted to put the question out to you. You know, what is it that would keep you involved in this network? But to answer your question about the facilitator training plus the 10 skills and some additional training as well, like the C learning and like Think Equal training, it's happening as we're going right now. So we don't have a very clear answer, but it has been designed like this only in the last, I would say, 8 or 9 weeks, Suzanne. So you took your training a little longer ago than that, well, a good bit longer ago than that, and Mary Catherine as well. So it hadn't been designed at that point, and we weren't able to point people in that direction. But it's coming from feedback from people connected with education that say we'd like to take a little more training and see how these practices could be integrated within our education setting, but also in our own lives. So it's that's a long-winded answer, and I'm happy to chat more about that at the very end if people have questions relating to that. Absolutely happy to stay on. But I'm going to hand over to Renee to extract some of the nuggets of learning from this particular.
We could have a whole conversation about the different ways that we spell nuggets and nougats, but we will save that for. So whenever you see me laughing in the background, it's because Anya has an amazing ability to have hilarious conversations with Shane about things like the way we spell nugget or nougat. So just so you know, like there's always backstories but of great entertainment and amusement. And I know that if we unmuted Murshid right now, he would be able to give us an engineering point of view about the difference of nuggets and nougats. But for now, let's, what I'd like to do is bring together what happened in the breakout groups. I'd love to have you share collectively, and we're actually taking notes and taking an inventory, as it were, of just points of view and feedback and where you are, what you're experiencing, what is supportive to you, and what you'd like to see, where your interests lie. And Shane, do you want to add anything else as far as what we'd like to collect from the group as far as just our learning? Because what Shane was alluding to, and we're growing the program, and so I've been both in it and then supporting growing it, but we're all doing that. So you're this is a just like me moment where we're all building this together. And so we'd like to learn from all of you, and it's through the collective wisdom that we're shaping this into something larger. And just as a sidebar, Mary Catherine and Suzanne and I all went through the online facilitator training with Shane as our facilitator last year. And now after that group, we created a practice group because we wanted to try to stay doing a little something together. And so honestly, that is partly influencing how we're trying to expand things, because what we realized is creating that ongoing relationship and places to practice had some support for us. And so it's, for me, it's really sweet to have it be that this is all kind of unfolding in this way, but that's what we're here to do, is also build relationships and have us grow together. With that, we'd love to hear from you, and I will be quiet, and I'm scribing this. And also, if you want to put things in the chat, we'll save the chat, but we'd really like the time to spend hearing from all of you. We're small enough, I think we can just unmute yourself and go for it.
Renee, I'm just going to be the person to ask the question again. What exactly are you asking from us right now? Because I know that, for example, well, personally in my group, we just actually spent the whole time introducing ourselves and figuring out what we had done and where we were at with CIT. So we didn't actually get into any discussion of anything deep and meaningful.
Well, I think it's deep and meaningful to be where we are and introducing ourselves. So what I'll invite is that it doesn't matter if it's something that came from the group or if we're just discussing in the now. Really what we'd love is to hear from you how you would like to continue relating with CIT or not, or what supports you to further build relationship. What supports you with your practices, and what supports you with your interest level or not. And things also change. So what we want to do is make sure we create relationships and structure that allows you to step away or step in, either one, but that one, about how to do either or both, at different times, and also how you envision things that support your experience here, and if you want to move forward. And if Shane or Anya want to articulate that in a way that has maybe more clarity, I am so on board with that.
I think Shen has her hand up from the beautiful south of France here.
Hey.
Showing off the blue sky.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi Shen.
Hiya. Hi guys. Yeah, well, I thought what I learned from my group is that I didn't realize is that this is actually a very new thing that you're doing. That I don't know how many you've run with educators, but Vicky was in the first group from February. I'm not sure how many you've done since, but and obviously I was in the last, I guess, or I don't know how many you're doing, but this is a new sort of initiative that you're doing. And for me, I thought, for me, what's it done? It's actually given me motivation to do what I've always wanted to do, which is to set up work with teenagers on resilience. And I feel like I've been teaching mental health for a long time now, but never really combining all of the skills that I've been taught at CIT. And so what would I want from this? It would be something about having some sort of network where if people were interested in using the same skills and sort of learning or discussing how we might amend them. I know there's the CEEL training, which I've had a look at, and I'm aware of very similar things, but people that may have done that course, or then how we then might use those materials and change them slightly to different age groups. Yeah, so something about a network that I would like to be belonging to, with people that have done the CIT training that are doing something similar to me around the world, would be awesome.
Thank you, Shen. We want to also acknowledge that Jennifer Baltas has joined us on the call. And so I don't know, Jennifer, do you want to say anything now? Or say hello? Or wait? And then Murshid after that.
Just wanted to say good day, everybody. Shane invited me to join you for a little bit this morning, and so I'm just happy to be here and be a part of your conversation. So thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Rashid, let's hear from you.
Yeah, well, it's indeed splendid to come back to the forum here. Well, currently I am just about to enter into a project known as Empathy Through Engineering. And that is the title of the project, and for which program I find the training, the skills that I do have learned out of this whole program has been very much useful in terms of the knowledge as well, the theoretical as well as the practical components. And I've been reading through the entireistic CIT manual as well. And it has been very much of fusion in order to make out my curriculum as well as activities for my learners, for my students, because my target audience, my target group, the students are very much from the youth group. They are university students. And as a result of which, I do find this program has been very much positive in order to make a positive change in terms of our students' youthful mind. Because in our program is very much inclined towards peace building, gender, as well as LGBTQIA training, youth development and the like programs, and all of which would be very much rooted in terms of socio-emotional intelligence, in order to be very much thorough with the socio-emotional intelligence, as well as to be very much mindful enough in terms of socio-emotional intelligence. We do have to inculcate our students, especially in terms of their mental training, by means of this compassionate integrity training tools that would indeed help them in order to make a very positive change in the long run of their life. So as a result, I do find very much that being used in the current context. Quite unfortunately, owing to this COVID situation, we have not yet been able to make out physical programs. However, quite in near future, we must be able to have a very physical workshops and training events for our students by means of these skills. And quite moreover, I am planning to be very much in touch with the whole network, holistic network members, in order to enhance my knowledge in terms of this title to the best of us.
Thank you, Gareth. Rashid, I almost said Gareth because Gareth just texted on WhatsApp that he lost his internet, so hopefully we'll get him back. But Rashid, it's so great to hear from you. And in my next life, I'm going to come back able to speak as articulately and as rapidly as you do, because it's so great. Okay, so who else? And as I said, Gareth lost his internet, and so hopefully we'll get him back. But right now he's somewhere else. Charu, go ahead. You may be muted because I at least cannot hear you.
I'm sorry. So we were in this group. Briefly, I'll talk about that, Annette and Ashia and me. So all of us being educators and having worked with primary school children as well. So we were just, kind of introducing ourselves and also looking at how we can continue this relationship, further. So all of us, all three of us are into different programs that we would be continuing to do. And for me, I'd like to see perhaps a support group where, we can develop ideas, we can co-create, we can collaborate on, let's say, for instance, my idea of joining was to, develop a module on which I'm already working, where I could integrate compassion, empathy, meditation, and things I've used myself as an educator. So how, such things can be created together. We can sort of, find out or know whoever is interested in whatever domain, and we can pick that up and work together collectively. So that becomes, quite an impactful thing. And we are there together creating stuff on the similar lines and coming from different cultural backgrounds, different parts of the world, yet, maybe developing something which might be of use globally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's just what I'm thinking right now.
Thank you, Charu. It's really great feedback. And as I've said, I'm taking notes on all of your comments, so thank you. And so we have time for two more comments, and Petra's got her hand raised, so we'll go there first.
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, we talked a little bit in our breakout rooms that, for example, in the States, it's very difficult to have to feel compassion for a lot of things in the world, and I've been really trying to practice during these last weeks, and I think it's difficult, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it. For me, it's a way to have a better life for me and other people. So I hope you understand me right, that I have to struggle more, but I don't see an option not to try. And I would also like to spread this knowledge and insights to other people in some way. And I've been discussing with a writer who writes reflective writing to help people who has had traumas. So I will try to do some kind of project with her. So because I really want to do more about this. Thank you. And would like to be in a network too.
Thank you, Petra. Okay, so I want to welcome Sandra. It's so great to see you, and many of us know Sandra. And I'm going to turn this over to Shane, and we've taken these notes down, definitely hearing the theme of networking and co-creating and building things out from other things, and that's really exciting to hear about. And Shane and Anya, I turn it back to the two of you. Great, and we'll put Jennifer on standby as well, because we may need a little bit of clarity towards the end when we talk about what exactly the new pilot facilitator training might look like, because it is very exciting, and hopefully we're piloting many things with this group. And to build on what Shane was saying at the very beginning of this feedback, that this is quite new, and we are asking for your assistance and your support, and all the things that we've been talking about you needing. It's really, really rich and refreshing for us to hear this. But just to put it in context and to maybe clarify some things, there's only been 2 trainings so far specifically designed and the CIT for educators. Educators meant in a very broad definition of educators. That can be from non-formal education, formal education from kindergarten right up to K-12, they call it in the United States, or high school leaving cert in another context. But also the other part of the Global Education Network is looking at universities. So there's a number of different layers to the Global Education Network. We've done two trainings so far, and we're in the middle of quite a big project of another 150 educators right now that will be coming to the end of their program, their CIT program, in about 2 or 3 weeks. So it's quite fresh. But on top of that, we have at least 2 years, now Jennifer can correct me, but roughly around 2 years of CIT being run with many general cohorts, general groups that signed up for CIT. And within that cohort, for example, Mary Catherine and other members of the CIT program that have already taken their training, they happen to be connected, passionate, and involved in education in some way. So we're trying to bring together this network, and the terms that we've just heard, like developing, supporting, co-creating, adapting material to fit whatever it is that we would like to do, and whether that's in Chanel's case of working with empathy, or in Rashid with resilience, and all the other components of CIT. We would love to be able for this group to support each other. There's some proposals already on the table, and we've mentioned the C-learning as one of them, and also Sandra has just joined us, which is great, and she explained a little bit about what Think Equal may be able to offer some members of this group who would like to take on that training. Not everybody, it might not suit everybody, but if you're interested, that's the type of training where we'd hope to support you and then be able to feed that back in conversations. There's one other thing before actually just showing you on screen what we'd love to propose for the next 2 weeks, and then mentioning the facilitator training. There is a Wednesday. So today, every Wednesday for the past, I'd say it's 7 or 8 weeks at this point. Again, Jennifer can correct me on many things, but it's roughly around 7 or 8 weeks. We've had an extra resilience session, and some members of this group are in that session. But it's sort of extending to become a weekly practice for the skills that we have in CIT. And every member of this group is entitled and welcome to join that group, just to share the practice with us all. So that's something in addition to the specific Global Education Network activities, but that's a general CIT
And it's Wednesday in UK time, it's 5 p.m. Western European time where I am, it's 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's just 1 hour of a practice every week to check in with people around the world who might be finding CIT useful to deal with what we're dealing with in the current situation. And that's current situations because it's extending beyond the COVID crisis now to many other situations we're dealing with. I'm going to stop in 1 second, but I know people are familiar with this. I'm just sharing the screen here for a second. I know many people are familiar with the C learning. We've talked about it, but maybe not everybody in the group. So I will share on all the platforms that we have access to at the moment. That's your platform, your CIT online learning platform, and there are also some subgroups. We hope to bring that platform to become one platform very soon, very quickly. And we are experimenting with a few different online platforms at the moment. And I think the rest of the CIT, we're very close to deciding on which platform it might be, but it will help us to communicate with the whole group. But for the moment, we've got about 10 different ways of communicating with you. The CI, or the C learning, we're proposing that over the next 2 weeks before the next proposed meetup and check-in, that people maybe take this on board themselves in their own time. And there could be subgroups that you might want to connect with and support each other through this training. But this is an online training that you can do. It's self-directed, and it's simply going onto their website here and signing up for the so you can see it here, sign up for the COC 101 orientation. And I mean, it'll be different for different folks, but this could be very realistically done in 3 days. If you assign a certain amount of hours per day to do this, or it could be spread out over 2 weeks. But we're saying that in the next 2 weeks, if you are interested and would like to sign up, the next check-in, we're going to dedicate a good chunk of that time to seeing how C learning is for you and reflecting on how C learning might be useful in your own work and your own personal life. But we are working with Brendan Asau da Silva, who's one of the co-creators of CIT, and we'll be communicating with Brendan to see how he might be able to support us as well going forward with this program. So this is the C learning, and the only other thing that connects to the C learning that I wanted to share, and then I'm not going to try and throw Jennifer under the bus and just say, okay, explain facilitator training that we're still working out ourselves, but maybe we can do that together as a team of facilitators. I'm just showing the same thing again, I think here. Just to show you that there are a number of other resources as well that are available on the C Learning website. And these are resources from other organizations and also resources that stand alone as C Learning resources. And they can be adapted for whichever cohort or group you might be working with. It might be your own children, it might be your own family members, or it could be young people that you're working with. But there's quite a lot that C Learning can offer, and because we're so closely connected in CIT and C Learning, we thought we'd offer the C Learning and support that within this network first off, in addition to the facilitator training, which is coming up pretty soon, the next round. And with this group in mind, we've tried to, this group and other groups that are coming through the CIT training pretty soon, we've tried to come up with a way of accelerating that process. It was going to be September, I believe, Jennifer, but it's maybe looking at accelerating that to July, and we potentially have 50 pilot spaces on that program. Jennifer, is it okay to hand it over for you for a second or two, and then maybe we can come back in? I have the notes and the dates and what that might look like, but I'll do it no justice right now when you're here.
I'm sure you would do a great job, Shane. So thank you all. I loved, so I'm only joining for part of your conversation, but I've loved all of the concepts that you've shared, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the notes that everybody has been taking. I've got a couple myself. I will give you a little bit of insight as to what we're attempting to do with our revised facilitator training. So we've been hearing a lot of feedback from facilitators that once they go through facilitator training, which is great, they still don't necessarily feel comfortable going out and facilitating on their own, or they have hesitations, or they still want to have conversations with folks about concepts to really understand them in their own minds. And Anya and I were talking, I think it was Anya and I were talking about it yesterday, like we both took CIT several times before we were like, oh, it's like this aha moment. You're just like, oh yeah, why didn't I get that the first time around? And so having those opportunities to continue to engage in conversation has been really important. And that's been one of the driving forces for a revision to the facilitator training. So we're hoping to do a pilot program, and I could give you details, but what I think is more helpful is just the overarching concept of what we're trying to do, which is to provide a facilitator training program that would allow you to engage in conversations and provide each other with information, feedback, resources. So you would have what we're calling loosely a practice group. And so you would sign up for your time, whatever time zone that would look like for you. So there'll be multiple time zones. Because I know from experience, we have some folks on the call that it's like, it's bedtime for them. And so they're getting ready to go to sleep. And some of us are just waking up and having, starting our day. And some of you are in the middle of the afternoon. So having multiple groups that would allow you to sign up for a practice group in a time zone that would work for you. And you would spend 10 weeks with your practice group. You would be doing and working on your curricular engagement opportunities, which if you're not familiar with them, a curricular engagement opportunity, how we define it, is providing us with a story or a metaphor or a video or an audio resource that links directly to learning outcomes for a particular skill. So for example, if I was working on my curricular engagement opportunity for skill 6, forgiveness and gratitude, I might find a really wonderful video clip from the Forgiveness Project that I would share with the group, and then we would have a dialogue, and I would provide, here's the link to the video clip, here are the questions that you would ask to do it, and it would literally provide us with an opportunity to see how well you understand the concepts of forgiveness and gratitude and the learning outcomes that are associated with that through CIT. And so in your practice groups, you would be able to share those with your colleagues to get feedback. And it would be like, oh, yeah, so this is what we were talking about with the Forgiveness Project, and here's what I was thinking. And your colleagues could provide you with, well, that's a great question, but how does it link back to this? Or that doesn't really talk about forgiveness in the way we're looking at, that's talking about, oh gosh, now I'm totally drawing a blank. Getting back to a good relationship with that person. And that may not be what we're attempting to do. And so looking at it from the standpoint of how it connects to CIT and how you are writing that activity to be able to potentially use with a group moving forward someday if you got to that point. And I don't want to call anybody out specifically, but if you work with a specific population, writing your curricular engagement for that population. What would it look like if I were writing a curricular engagement opportunity for a group of middle school children or a group of elementary school children, and being able to use the population which you're working with, and then using your colleagues to get feedback on how that might actually work with your population. So that would be one of the concepts of the practice group. The other would be working on your formal practices. So as a facilitator in training, you are required to do approximately 2 hours of formal practice for each of the first 8 skills. So that would be sitting down and working on your skills for tracking, resourcing, grounding, focused attention, resting the mind in its natural state. And those can be done through the contemplative journal questions in your participant guide. They can be done by listening to the formal practices on the CIT website. Those can be done in any number of ways, but those are more of a practice for you to be able to really internalize the concepts of CIT and how we utilize them, so that you, when you're doing your practices and you're doing your curricular engagements and then you're facilitating a skill, you really have, hopefully, you really have a great concept of what that skill is and you're embodying that. And of course, remembering it's progress, it's not perfection. For the past couple of years, I'm definitely progressing, not perfecting anything. Just ask my children and they'll tell you, they are my greatest source of patience and practice on a regular basis. And the other thing with the practice groups is to practice your facilitation skills so that you actually have an opportunity to facilitate some of the content and some of the information to your colleagues and get feedback from them before you would actually do your practicum in front of your lead facilitators, whoever that might be. So those practice groups would run for 1 quarter. So 3 months, approximately 10 weeks. And you would get those opportunities and spend all that time with your group. Hopefully by the end of that, you would have all of your requirements met so that the next quarter, you could literally move directly into practicum, and where you would facilitate 2 complete skills with a colleague, with a partner, and from start to finish, you would facilitate the entire skill from start to finish, with your colleague, which is what we consider practicum. And at the end of that time period, you would be a certified facilitator, but you would hopefully have a lot more confidence and competence with the particular skills to be able to go forward and facilitate a group of your own. Because like I said, one of the things we've been hearing from our colleagues is, I've done all this, but I really just don't feel like I know the material well enough to be able to go out and facilitate. So hopefully with changing the way we're doing things and having more opportunities to engage with the material, you would have more confidence to be able to go forward and facilitate with the groups that you're working with. So I don't know if that answers your question, Shane, if that provides you with the oversight you were looking for.
Yeah, it's a competition between yourself and Murshid now to see how long you can do that without stopping, and for people to understand. But that was really good. And without embarrassing Jennifer too much, apart from being a progressing mother of 2 kids and the head of the training within CIT and many other hats that she wears in CIT, she also just managed through the COVID crisis to get her doctorate complete. So she's also Dr. Jennifer Valtos now from the university that we're connected with as well. I believe it is Life University, Jennifer?
That's not where I got my doctorate.
Oh,
no.
right. Okay. I just wanted to hear you say that. But congratulations on behalf of all of us here as well. But no, that is, for me at least, it was clear, and I missed the meeting on Monday when we were going through this, but it's a 20-week course. We're looking for 50 pilot facilitators in training. And it's the next deadline then, just to say that again, in terms of signing up, would be the 17th, the proposed deadline, 17th of July for this group.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. And I know Shane has all of your contact information, Shane, Anya, Renee. I know that they all have your contact information. So it's one of those, as soon as we have the and it might not be perfect, and this is why it's called a pilot group. It might not be perfect, but what we're hoping is that with all of you and with all of your experience and your willingness to share, which, I mean, I've heard from Shane and Anya and Renee so many wonderful things about all of you and your willingness to provide feedback and to be a part of these groups. We're hoping that as potentially part of the pilot group, that you'd be able to provide us with the feedback to say, this worked, this didn't work, here are some things we could think about. And of course, as somebody with an education background, we're always looking for the best ways to be able to connect the information with the people that are part of the program. So obviously with your knowledge and expertise as educators from all over the world, how does this work for you and for the populations that you're going to be working with? So
brilliant. And thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. I know that we've reached over the hour now, and some people have to sign off, so we get that completely. Thank you, Sandra, also for sharing the links here to the Think Equal. And from our contacts with Think Equal as a program that we're hoping to offer the network members here as well, they're in the process of designing their own self-directed learning online version. And I think around July time is their wish or their aspiration to have that available. So we're continuing to work with them. But what we're proposing first, for those who've already taken it or those that wish to take the C-Learning over the next 2 weeks, and then on the 8th of July, that we hope to maybe bring this group back together with more people involved that couldn't make it today. And we'll have more clarity on the 8th of July also about the facilitator training. We're working at the plans. In 2 weeks' time, I'm sure we'll have that. If there's any other questions in relation to it, you can keep the questions coming, and we'll do our best. Questions also help us come up with answers, so we'd appreciate that. And yeah, so the 8th of July, we'll put it on the platforms. It'll be the same link, same Zoom link, and hopefully the same time as this. And this is really an effort to try and get 5 continents together for one call, which it's a great achievement to have us here. And the time from Rossi and Suzanne in Sydney to Renee and Jennifer in the United States right now, and people all in between from the different continents. We've managed to do it for an hour at least. So we'll we'll stop now and let people go back and enjoy your evening or morning or day, wherever it might be. And if anybody has any questions and you want to stay on, a few of us will probably be hanging around to answer them. But it's great to see you all again, and look forward to seeing you hopefully again in two weeks' time, when we take all the feedback on board and work out a more clear plan going forward.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So good to see you.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you all.
Hey, Sandra, so good to see you. Hello, everybody. Sala. Hello, Prue. Be
Happy
well.
new haircut. That's the new haircut.
Wait, I haven't seen any new haircut. Where is he? Is he gone?
Why
hello.
Nice. I like it.
The wind is very strong here on this hill.
Sala, don't forget the moon.
Every night.
Me too. Me too. Me too. Me too.
And happy solstice week. It is the week of the solstice and celebration in many parts of the world.
We should send you some photos. We got up very early in the morning, 3 o'clock, to go and see it. So the sunrise.
Did you see it?
We burnt some sage and did some pagan stuff. Yeah.
Mary Catherine's like, yeah.
Yeah. It was
Well, I just learned we're on the same island. So.
Yeah.
a bit difficult first thing in the morning, and we had wet sage, but didn't have, but anyway, it was still symbolism was still there. Isn't that right? Prue was there.
Fantastic.
I was there.
And it's the day of sun
I'll share
here.
pictures.
Sorry, Prue.
Oh.
You're going to share pictures?
I'll send a picture. I have a lovely picture. Yeah, in the WhatsApp of the sunrise, which was so beautiful. It was really amazing. Yeah, it was wonderful. Yeah.
Beautiful.
I have a question actually relating. So Anya, I think it was Anya. You said that you, or maybe it was Jennifer, that you did this several times before you went on to do the facilitation training, or is it just that you revisited the course several times before you felt comfortable with it? I'm interested in that.
Well, I'll let Anya speak for herself on that one. So when I took the initial CIT class, I was still working. I still work for Life University, but I was working on campus in a different role. And so I took my initial class on campus, and my partner had taken a job out of state and we were relocating. And so I immediately turned around and did the facilitator training as well. And then once I left campus, Michael in the center offered me a job working for the center so I could work remotely. And so I now work for the Center for Compassion, Integrity, and Secular Ethics. And so I had the opportunity to participate in so many different courses continuously. And to this day, I still do. And I have those opportunities every, 3 months or so. And I take every opportunity I can to revisit those skills. I also have my manual, which sits right here next to me on a regular basis. But any opportunity I could find to participate in, whether it was a whole class or just different skills, I would take those opportunities. And for better or worse, I didn't really have a choice but to get thrown into the material because Michael decided we needed to do training videos for facilitators in training. And so I hate being on camera for anything. And I had to do training videos for all 10 of the skills about 2 months after starting working for the center. So I had no choice but to really kind of dive in and learn as much as I could as quickly as I could. But even to this day, 2 years later, I still take every opportunity I can to participate in the different classes. Anya.
Thank you. The reason I ask is because I'm considering doing I'm interested in the facilitator training. It's very interesting to me, but I also feel as though there's a lot unresolved within the material, which brings a lot up for myself. And it's like it's a continual practice. And I have a tendency to jump straight from discovering a concept or a way of thinking to teaching it. And perhaps missing a little bit in the middle, which is that kind of really applying it to my own life and really feeling like I'm living it. And I suppose the reason I'm asking the question is, do you feel it's too much to go straight into the facilitated training if you still have, in a sense, unresolved aspects with the material and applying it in your own life? Or do you think that it's okay to do those things in tandem, because if you kind of connect with the material enough, it just sort of all slots into place? Just, I don't know if that made any sense at all, but
it did, Prue. It made perfect sense.
So
and
any one of you facilitators can speak to that, really, I guess, because it's just, I don't want to be a fraud. I don't want to absorb the information to enough of an extent that I can parrot it to somebody else. I really want to actually feel that I have the integrity to fully live it, and I don't want to rush myself, but I also don't want to take too long. So I don't know if that, you know.
So, Prue, if I may, I'd say, obviously, I wouldn't say no, it's too much, but I can hear you absolutely. And for me, it was more a serendipity because I happened to be in the working group, and when also it was just a coincidence. I didn't have a leading role there. I was just sitting there and listening. And when they launched the CIT, I had the opportunity to visit all the groups. And when I started doing the facilitated in training, I still felt I don't own the material. And honestly, the only thing which really made me feel that, obviously, I still think I'm learning a lot every session I'm attending, but the only thing which really made me more confident with the material is firstly translating it, because I was visiting all the sentences, and then eventually facilitating it. And so I'm giving this ambivalent reply here. What I would recommend doing is reading the manual and really and listening to the podcast, and if depending on what you prefer, visual or auditive input, but dealing with the content again and doing the facilitated training then would be just what I experienced being a very good way to actually acquire ownership of the material. Did you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And Prue, I want to just add that I would invite that living in the questions is part of the practice, and that may be different than what you're describing, but I know for me, with other trainings and other backgrounds that I have, one of the things I've had to grapple with and continue to grapple with is understanding how this material is presented with the definitions in this curriculum versus how other ways that I may have understood a word to be. So part of my practice is learning the curriculum and looking at over time how I'm appreciating how this is constructed as I'm thinking of it as a scaffolding. So many of us have outside practices, or perhaps not, but many of us have outside practices, and I'm personally finding that this is a really elegant structure that I can also attach my other practices to, but that's a discernment for each of us to come up with on their own. So I'm not suggesting that that's true for you, but that's how I'm experiencing it. But I also want to just underscore that epistemic humility and knowing that we don't know is part of this practice. So I just want to support everyone that if we feel called toward this work, to not think, to have self-confidence to move forward, as well as the humility of knowing that, it may or may not fit, but at least explore it if you're feeling called into it. Because I'm just like I'm a big advocate that at this time in the world, we need our folks speaking out when it feels right.
Okay, thank you all. That really helps. It sort of helps me to think about it differently and to realize that it's part of the process. The training is part of the process, and so yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
There's only one thing that I can add, and I'm not sure if it'll be assisting other people as well, and you may have other questions and comments, but from a conversation recently I've had with Michael about facilitator training and the overall program, and I know you're doing incredible work right now, Prue, in different parts of the world, and specifically with the refugee crisis. It hit home to me that if we were to wait for the perfect facilitator and the perfect program and the perfect material, wait for that to come along and wait for every facilitator to be 100%, with the elocution and the way we employ all the skills and the words even, I think that things can just pass us by. And so the material is there, it's evolving all the time, it's changing. Even this week it's being reformed and changed and organic from feedback we're getting. And so it's to try and, you know, and it's not to give you advice in this, but for me that was a big, you know, it's progress rather than perfection with the whole course. And if people can gain you know, practices, tools to deal with their own resilience and empathy and trauma and all the other things that CIT provides, if that can be of benefit to other people, for me that was my own motivation to say, okay, we don't have to wait till everybody has passed the official test. And that was a question that we've had with Jennifer as well. Now, should there be exams at the end of it as well, and should everybody, you know, have the same dialogue across the world? And we're really working on getting the material as accessible to as many people across the planet as we can in this moment. So that's the only thing I would add to it.
Okay, that's helpful too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. I have to go now, so I'm going to sign off. But thank you for. It's nice to see you.
Looking forward to continuing the conversation.
Cheers, I'll see you, Prue. Thank you very much.
All the best.
I have a question. You said it earlier, Shane, but I don't remember, and maybe Jennifer did too. This pilot, you're talking about this pilot that may start in July, and you said how many weeks will that last?
It's going to be, so the revised training program would be 2 of what you're currently doing. So it would be 20 weeks total.
20 weeks. I thought I heard that.
Yeah, over the course of 2 quarters, what would be a quarter? So January, February, March would be the 1 quarter. So if the folks were starting, if we've got our pilot that would be starting in August, so you do your practice groups in August, September, and then you would do your practicum starting in October. So
this is for facilitators or for
facilitators?
This is for facilitators, a 2-quarter facilitator program.
Yes.
Okay, and August, September would be the practice.
Sorry, that's to become a facilitator.
Yes.
Yeah, this is in training. So Mary Catherine, you did that by that time already.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No, I'm just curious. So, but in actually, so when you say 50 pilot facilitators, you're talking about 50 people who want to become facilitators, and this is what they would experience.
Yeah.
A pilot of a new facilitator training.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not sure.
2 years worth of feedback from facilitators who have gone through the program up to this point.
Okay.
So we're not sure, Mary Catherine and Ashia and the rest of the facilitators, if we get off lightly, more likely than the rest of the group that are about to start, or, you know, maybe we were lucky to have done it the way we did it, but it's just trying to scale the facilitator training to meet the demand at the moment. And it's great that there is more of a demand for, particularly in the education.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way of doing it, actually, because it makes you feel connected. You feel like you're getting more input into understanding it as well. And I'm loving what we're doing, don't get me wrong. But I just think, yeah, that's a really, really good way of doing it. I think having those chats, like, sorry guys, if I know some of you weren't in our conversation yesterday, but there was just so much more that we wanted to say. Did you feel that, guys, Suzanne and Mary Catherine? Even now, like, there's stuff that I want to tell you guys that I want to tell you next week, obviously, but I feel like I'm going to be taking away from the time that the facilitators have, because we're on such limited time. But doing it this way, Jennifer, you've got the opportunity to have those chats and go deeper. And then when you've got that out of your system, when you're ready to do it for real. So no, I think that's a fantastic way of going about it. I just wanted to ask about the C-learning. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
What is this? Huh?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I had the same question. I went to India as part of the CIT training, and I found out about C-learning from one of our participants in India, and I was like, why do we not know about this right now? But it's good timing, whatever the timing is. And just to say it again, that we didn't have, while we were doing that education pilot program that you were part of, Ashia, it wasn't an integrated part of this global education network. So we're working with C-learning, and that's developed mainly, not only, but mainly by Brendan and Sarah De Silva, who is one of the co-creators of the CIT program. But CIT is Life University, and C-learning is connected with Emory University. A lot of the components in the research is quite similar.
Okay, so I
but
can log onto this website and just go and have a look and see what it's all about.
Absolutely. It's specifically for a certain age group. So it's 6 years old, I believe, to 12 years old.
Yeah, it's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, and so the Think Equal will be younger students or younger participants that you'd be catering for. And then CIT is the overall. So we're really trying to cover all bases with compassion training.
Thanks, Renee. Thanks for the comment. Self-guided, lovely. Okay, guys, I'm going to go. It was lovely to see you all, and hopefully some of you I'll see again very soon.
All right.
Thanks,
nice to meet you. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And so we still have Mura and Charu and Mary Catherine and Suzanne, and it's also covering in loads of different places around the world, which is fantastic. But are there any other questions that you'd like to bring to this, a full group still at 25 past?
I think I'm the only person from India this time. I was like, okay, nobody else. Where are they? I'm going to ask them to come and join next time.
No, it's a great point, and we've three or four other groups in India.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
No, we do have at least two or three, maybe 4 groups in India that have been invited, and they hopefully will play a role in the Global Education Network. I think the timing may not have suited all of them, so we have a number of people who've come through the 10 skills in India who have said that they're eager to participate as well. So hopefully you'll be joining by some colleagues from not too far away from you, Cheryl. Or maybe very far away.
Shane is saying, he's saying in addition to who was in our cohort, there are other groups that have already been trained in India, yeah?
Yeah, some in person and some online. And we've lost Mura, I think, but Suzanne is still with us. Sorry, Charles.
There was a question. I asked you I asked for the certification. So Jennifer, is that, do we get a certification after CIT?
Yes, you will receive a certificate. I just need the names so that I can make the certificates.
I'm making up the names as we speak, so whatever name you want to be known as.
I wasn't sure, whether that happens. What happens, after the program? Are we entitled for that or no? So I was kind of wondering. I said, what is it? And somebody previously from our group, and we were talking about it. Nobody had any idea about it. So I just asked Renee.
You did. You asked me in the chat, and I'm so glad you asked it here because I didn't know the whole process, and now we know where the pressure point is.
Anybody who completed the CIT program, 8 of the 10 skills is what we require. You have to do 8 of the 10 skills. So as long as the participants have finished those, the facilitators have to send me the names so that I can create the certificates and send them to the facilitator. Is the I'm totally throwing him under the bus. The facilitator has to
Shane, I'm thinking that Shane might be backed up past last autumn.
Yeah, where's my certificate?
Because none of us have certificates.
I'm still waiting for mine.
Did you? I got one.
I wrote
Okay. Okay, shall we stop recording here? And I'm putting that down.
Keep recording. I think it's fantastic that we're all intrinsically motivated by this course, not extrinsically, and not for the certificate.
Right, exactly.
It's great to learn.
I just want to make it clear that there's no plurality of the facilitators submit the paperwork, because I, Charu, personally would do my utmost to make sure you got your certificate, but I have no ability to finalize that process other than send Shane messages in WhatsApp, which I will do now on your behalf and for the well-being of all mankind, personkind.
Charu, thank you for bringing that up right now. Thank you, I appreciate it. And just great that Jennifer is here.
I hope he doesn't feel pressurized by this conversation on certificate.
Pressures for tires.
No, he's about to have a baby. He's about to have a baby. Go easy on this guy.
I won't use that card.
On a different note, it's still interesting, the question to get more serious again. The certificate, actually, just the certificate you get after the course entitles you to actually use some of the material, some of the practices, for example, with your teaching, but referring to CIT. Whereas if you are qualified facilitator you obviously can do the course and offer the course. So perhaps Jennifer or Shane, you can say something more about that, because the certificate is just a piece of paper, but what you already can do now with it, without being dependent on Shane's goodwill, if he's going to send you the certificate or not. Jennifer, perhaps I'm going to direct the question to you. Is that correct what I said, that we actually can use the practices with our target groups, refer to it, at least that's what I'm telling my groups here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you've finished, and then Michael has said this too, and I would agree, and Anya shared it earlier, you know, the best way to learn how to do something is to teach it to somebody else. And so as educators, being able to take some of the skills that we've learned, even in small bits and pieces, to be able to share with somebody else is absolutely acceptable. We want you to do that. We want you to go, I mean, especially the stuff from series 1. You know, it does not work to teach your own children. I don't know if any other parents have ever found this, but it does not work to teach your own children things. At least in my house, this does not work.
It's like teaching your husband to ski or something. It just doesn't work, right?
And you know what, my partner's a ski instructor, so this is even worse, right, Renee? Yeah. But no, I mean, I think that being able to share this information, especially if you know, a work group, a group of children, whatever it is you've got, you know, even if it's just a 5-minute, let's teach people how to ground for 5 minutes. Absolutely, go forth and use this information. Let's talk about focused attention and what that could potentially do for us. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and yeah, so and there are some certain certificates that are more tailor-made for the specific group. So for example, in India, we had training with MGIP and with UNESCO, and so they may have had their logo on it. Other groups might be, you know, collaborating with other organizations. But right now, you will definitely be receiving, as long as you've you know, had your 80% or 8 skills out of 10, you've got that ticked off. We will be receiving your certificate ASAP, and you can put it as pride as wherever you want in your house or your home. I maybe put in a T-shirt even. You can get it made that I have my certificate, and you can share it with the rest of the group.
Charu, what Shane is saying is he's doing his own hand calligraphy of your certificate, and as soon as the ink dries, he will mail it to you.
At the messenger. Yeah. May I ask something else, or are we still on the certificate business here? Did you get the confirmation that we have Brandon for next session, 2 p.m. our time, whatever's time he is? Still in Atlanta, is he? Is he still
Brendan is out.
Yeah.
So we haven't got confirmation, but we're hoping that we'll get, if he's not present in the training, that we'll have some assistance and advice from Brendan. But he is aware that our educators are on board and hoping to take the training. So
okay.
great,
No,
great.
no, I meant for next Wednesday, for Wednesday, July 8th, perhaps.
In 2 weeks' time,
Yeah.
yes. So
yeah.
that's our aspiration, to have Brendan on board, but I haven't heard back from him, so we just have to get confirmation.
So, and I'm sorry, we will be traveling back. So sitting in the car, I'm sure I won't have internet connection to join. So,
and if we're having a check-in every 2 weeks, it's I'm definitely going to be out for some of them as well. So there might be a question of, even we've loads of facilitators here alone. So I think hopefully we'll have covered. I'm not trying to make you feel bad in any way, Anya, but if you can't make it in 2 weeks' time, it's absolutely fine.
Oh, you made me feel bad already because I told you before. But no, I would have loved to see Brandon again. But I'm doing some resourcing around, and I think I'm going to deal with it.
Anya, we're gonna send you messages from WhatsApp during the meeting and tell you all the amazing things you're missing. And if we talk about you, we'll tell you a little bit about it. Okay?
Yeah, I realized how multitasking you all are. All these chats, while I always listen to the people who are talking, and I see the chat is growing. Anyway, yeah, okay.
Jennifer, it's not usually like this, I promise you.
Sure.
We don't give out about each other. Mary Catherine, and maybe Suzanne has a question. So she stayed on until 4 o'clock in the morning or something over there.
No, I was actually just going to let you guys, well, okay. So the 5-week course that you just did was just the standard CIT course, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing about it is standard, but yes.
No, but it's because there seems to be maybe a little bit of confusion about that, because I was on with Michael and Rosie, and I said to her, so what have you guys done? And she said, oh, well, we just did the 5-week CIT and facilitator course. And I went, oh, okay. And then I said, so you've done the facilitator course as well in that 5 weeks? And she said, yes. And I went, and she said, so that's why she was asking, that's why I had that question to you, Shane. That's why then she said, I'm wondering how our facilitator course was different to the one that you're doing, Suzanne. And I went, so did you guys do CEs and did you have to log your contemplative practices and stuff? And they went, no.
Did you have sympathetic joy, Suzanne?
I was getting my knife out for Jennifer.
Yeah.
This is violence, Suzanne.
No, this is what the course is about, to get rid of all the aggressions. No, but I was wondering, Rossi did attend another course before joining our cohort. So is there something?
No, I mean, in all the literature, and I mean, we may have different interpretations, but in all the literature it does say we'll do the CIT course, and then that will be followed by those who wish to go on to take the facilitator course. So we certainly, I promise you, we haven't done a 2-in-1 job.
I think Michael thought as well, because they both sort of went, yeah, we've done it. And I'm thinking, well, what have I done?
Michael.
You're Michael, your friend Michael O'Connor.
Oh, Michael O'Connor. No, okay. So just now, today, in this conversation, there were 2 members of this team who felt they'd taken the. That's gas, because I was having a conversation with Michael just a few days ago about the willingness to go on and take the facilitator training. So I wish I was a fly in the wall of that conversation.
I'm sending an email to you.
Well, I thought I better let you know, because then you were probably wondering why I was asking that question as well. And so that was why there was that confusion.
Sure. Well, the only difference to state, and Mary Catherine, you have a question now as well, so I want to let you in, but the only difference that we would see from the traditional, whatever we're calling traditional, or the standard CIT courses, a lot of the conversations are directed towards education. A lot of the breakouts or mindful dialogues, they're connecting with us as educators or us as people who want to take on the training individually or within our vocation. So it's not necessarily only educators, but it's education. People are connected with education in some way or shape or form.
Well, I must admit that even things like with the C learning, because I just started that tonight, but in becoming a facilitator, that is just, I just went, oh, this is really good to be doing as well, because it's just sort of reinforcing it, and it's giving you even more little examples of things to do.
Definitely. That resonates for me as well. Mary Catherine, you're eager to get in.
No, it's actually related to what Suzanne just said too. So the thread, interesting little thread, because it was back to the C learning. That was really my question, was you said, and I've seen it on there because I've registered for that, but some time ago actually. But is C learning only for elementary school, elementary grades? I mean, because you were saying that it went into, well, anyway, yes, tell me.
Yeah,
please.
6 to 12 years old. So it's different in each educational zone, I suppose, but it's directed mainly towards that age group. Similar to CIT, we sometimes work with people younger than 18. We've worked with 16, 17-year-olds, but it's designed and created to deal with education and educators for that age group.
Oh, okay. I thought it's K to 12.
I did too.
Sorry, no,
Yeah.
K through 12. That's the US.
So
that's 6.
Yeah, this is
18.
actually until high school graduation. This is exactly at least the part that I knew.
Yeah. No, it does. It says that on the website here. So it's K. That's a bit confusing for me as well. So it's K is kindergarten, I'm presuming, and 12 is 12th grade. So
right.
Catherine be more familiar with that.
Good, that's
so
fine.
it is, yeah, it's that age group, and then CIT above that, and Think Equal would be below that, so below 6 years
below
old.
that. And I mean, that was my educational certificate in Nebraska, was teenagers, 7 to 12. But I've worked more with adults here at university level, so just more of that's good. So that's what that is. That's great. Thank you very much.
It's okay. Some adults are like children.
Huh?
Some adults are like children, so I figure it's the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Some
agree.
children are like adults as well, unfortunately.
I don't mean to be rude, but I'd like to ask a question in two different directions here. Firstly, Mary Catherine, are we meeting tomorrow?
Well, yes. I mean, I just